and welcome to another episode of Leslie Said What. Okay, guys, so tonight is a little different than usual. But before we get started, don't forget to, guys, join the conversation. Feel free to join the conversation via the comments below. Okay, so feel free to join the conversation, say hello, let me know that you're here. Because honestly, without you, it won't be a conversation. It'd just be like Leslie and the guest said what. Okay. So we want you to join the conversation. Now, tonight's guest is none other than ta-da, me. How weird is that, right? So I figured since everyone else has been sharing their story, why not? Right? Also because our guest for tonight ended up having to work, so she wasn't able to come. And I said, well, that's perfect, because I said, hey, if it ever gets to a point in this series that someone can't show up, that means I guess I'm supposed to share my story. So yeah, let's see who's all here. I see you in the comments. Hey, Chris. Oh, so good to see you, love. And of course, Miss Natalie Akers is always supportive. And she came up with our name. Leslie Said What, FYI, if you didn't know that, that's a fun fact. So yeah, guys, this is going to be a little interesting for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm usually not the one who's the center of attention. So for me, this is going to be a little bit much. And I don't mean like center of attention, like center of attention. I mean like in as far as the show goes, because usually I'm interviewing somebody else who's sharing their story. And for those of you who've just now started following along, this series is The Storm That Built My Story. Okay, and so each guest has been a woman who has been courageous and amazing in sharing her story, and it has been great so far. So if you have missed it, definitely go back and catch the replay at lesliesaidwhat.com, or you could go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or any other major podcast network or platform and catch up on all the missed episodes. So tonight, I'm sharing my story. Oh gosh, guys, I cannot stand being vulnerable, but it is what it is. I don't mind being transparent, but I do mind being vulnerable. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So I'm going to share my story. So my story begins from the time I was 5 years old. So guys, my story it comprises of trauma and I guess you could say abuse and different things all the way up to this present day. Hello, Sister Becky. So yeah, so guys, it kind of gives me like a little to share, but here we go. So for those of you who don't know my backstory consists of me being bullied and teased and a little bit of everything from the time I was in kindergarten through my 11th grade year of high school. Yeah. So it started one day, a girl got on the bus from when I was 5 years old, and from that point on, all the way through my junior year of high school, of what people don't realize and remember is that the same kids that are with you, if they never move, they're with you forever. So it was her, and then from there, it turned out to be other kids, and constantly being bullied. I was slapped in the face, hair pulled, called all kinds of names, literally to the point where I had no self-esteem and no self-confidence. It basically diminished. So can you imagine from kindergarten through your junior year of high school being bullied by the same people over and over again, and then for it to continue to grow in numbers of the people who would just tag in and join in? It plays on your self-esteem and your self-confidence. A lot of people don't realize that when it comes to children, they're like, oh, kids will be kids. No, kids will not just be kids. And it shouldn't be something that's just brushed off. Kids are who you train them to be. And so for me, the kids who were bullying and teasing me and all types of other things is what literally played on my mind and my self-esteem and my self-confidence, to the point where I honestly just wanted to die. I remember coming home from school, getting off the bus and going into the closet and literally getting to a point where I would just scream and cry and try to figure out how to die. I just wanted to be away, gone. And again, that all transpired as a result of years being bullied and told that you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, that, and the other, you're blah, 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 blah. You'll never be nothing. So me having that constantly played into my head, I started to believe it. And so being told that you're nothing, being felt as if you're nothing on a day in and day out for so many years, whether you wanted to or not, guys, makes you almost disappear and lose yourself. So I didn't even know who I was, honestly. Like, because every time someone would bully me or tease me, I would try to shift things to fit, like, okay, well, I would observe them, right? And all this is going to come together in the end when I explain it. I would observe them and see, okay, what is it that makes them not make fun of this person? So let me see what that person's doing, and then I'll start doing that. So then I pretended to be this person or that person. And I tried to adhere to what this person or that person would do. And then I was like, okay, well, they don't make fun of her. So maybe if I wore my hair like this, or maybe they don't make fun of this person. So maybe if I look like this, or if I try my best to do this, that, the other, to the point where I didn't have an identity. My identity lied in whatever it was that I was choosing to be at that point. I guess you can say all I wanted to do basically was to be accepted. And whatever that was gonna look like, I was willing to do. Whether it was changing myself, my personality, anything, just to fit in. It consumed me. It literally consumed me through all of high school, elementary, middle school. And then once I graduated, I just wanted to get as far away from these people as possible. So I went away 7.5, 8 hours away, guys, to college, just to get away from the trauma. Not the drama, the trauma of being bullied and teased, because I figured those people who had been bullying me all those years wouldn't be there. So I went to college 7.5 hours, I think it was then, away. And I decided that once I lived there, fine, I'll be free. I can start fresh. Nobody knows me, right? I get to college, and I lie to you not, my first week of classes, the football players started bullying me. So of course, all of these 12, 13 years of grammar school, being made fun of, being bullied, told you're nothing, told you this, told you that, and then trying to remedy it by going 7.5 hours away to college and still having the same result will mess with your head. Like, to the point where I seriously thought there was something wrong with me. Like, literally, like, why me? What's wrong with me? And so what ended up happening is, again, I just basically was trying to find my way outside of that. And so what I ended up doing is moving back home and going to college locally. So I ended up going to Liberty University, where I met many, many wonderful friends that I'm still friends with today. So thank God for that. And so I started to kind of blossom in a sense, a little bit, try to figure out who I was. But then again, I was so consumed with fitting in and being accepted, I was willing to be whoever they were to try to fit in with them. So honest, could you imagine how twisted and jacked up my mind was, to the point where I didn't even know who I was? If people asked me what I liked, I'd wait to hear what the majority said they liked so that I can say, oh yeah, me too. Me too. I had no identity. I didn't even know who I really was. My identity was wrapped up in being whoever they wanted me to be. And so a lot of people were like, well, I thought you grew up in church, so you would think you had church friends. That wasn't the case. I honestly, there were people in church as well who continuously just to cast me to the side, push me to the side. So I wasn't accepted at church. I wasn't accepted at school. I wasn't accepted anywhere outside of my home. So it was almost like, why be here? Why be alive? What's the point? Like, clearly there's no reason I should be here. So I got consumed with trying to get married. And I was willing to marry anybody that would take me, because then it's like, oh, somebody accepts me, you know? So in my 20s, I think I was like 21. I was in all types of different relationships, stupid relationships. And one situation was quite abusive. Again, trying to figure out somebody to accept me. somebody who wants me, somebody who will love me, somebody who wants me for me, whoever that was, that I was. And so what ended up happening is I decided that, okay, this guy, my friend introduced me to. So if Ashley, if you're watching, my friend Ashley was playing a joke, and she was like, I had this guy call you. And I was like, who is this? And so it happens to be my now husband, Aaron. She had to call me. And so he and I were talking on the phone one night. And I was like, look, dude, I have no tolerance, no patience, because I had just been in a terrible relationship. And I was like, and it was an abusive relationship. So I was like, I had no patience for it. I was like, dude, you need to go somewhere. Well, what ended up happening was I contacted my pastor at the time, and I talked to him about it. And I said, hey, this guy keeps trying to tell me he's my husband. He wants to be together. He wants to be whatever. And I was like, yeah, no, right, Papa? And he was like, wait, what? And I explained to him who the guy was. And he was like, oh my gosh, he's such a great guy. He's such a great guy. So meanwhile, I'm like, oh shoot, I hung up on him. So I'm like trying to call him back. And back then it was when, you guys remember those phones where it was like free after 9 to call and free nights and weekends type of thing. So, and he had a prepaid track phone. So he was out of minutes. I didn't know that though. When I was trying to call him back, I thought he was ignoring my call because I was so rude to him. So I was like, well, Lord, I wanted a husband and now he's gone because I was so impatient and I was this, that, and the other. Well, what ended up happening is he ended up doing more minutes on his phone and charging it and then calling me back. And then from there was history. Now get this. This sounds crazy, all right? I'm about to blow your mind a little bit. My self-esteem and self-confidence was so minimal and so non-existent that I married my husband without even being in love with him. And he knows this, so people don't be like, oh my gosh, poor Aaron. No, he knows. And he gave me permission to share this. He's totally okay with it because God knows I love him now. But I married my husband because he offered. That's literally, I know that sounds crazy, but that's literally why I got married. He offered. So I was like, fine, sure, why not? He's willing to marry me. Nobody else wants me. Everybody else thinks I'm ugly. Everybody else thinks I'm this. Everybody else thinks I'm that. All those years of all the things that have been said to me and being bullied from that 5-year-old all the way to that teenage 17, 18-year-old, all that stuff was playing in my head all the time. So I had no self-esteem and no self-confidence for myself. So I married my husband because he offered, not because I loved him, not because I thought, number one, for sure, he's the one who God has for me. It was more like, sure, I have, maybe. I mean, I don't see why God wouldn't have him for me. He was nice. So I was like, sure, why not? I'll meet you at the altar, dude. And literally, we met on the phone, via phone in May, and got married in September. Like, literally. Again, not loving him, not knowing him, nothing. I just did it because I was like, hey, he offered. Again, that shows you how little self-esteem and self-confidence I had because I figured I'd take whoever would take me. Crazy, right? Crazy. That's why I say when people say kids will be kids bully, kids tease, kids whatever, it's never okay. You have no idea the amount of trauma, the amount of, what's the word? The amount of, I don't know what the word would be, but whatever that word is, it takes a toll on a child. From the time for being told this, that, and the other, you're nothing, you're that, you're this, you're whatever. All those years plays in your head. Can you imagine, guys, how this could have gone really, really wrong and really, really bad? Because, like I told you, I was willing to marry whoever would take me. And imagine if my husband wasn't Aaron Robinson, who you guys all know is the most amazing man ever, but imagine if it wasn't him. Imagine if it was some psychopath or some whatever, because my self-esteem and self-confidence was so low, I was willing to take whoever would take me. And and that's how women get into situations where they marry into a relationship, not for love, not for because they know, but because it's a option. It's a form of security to them. Imagine if I had gotten married to someone who treated me otherwise. My self-esteem and self-confidence was so non-existent that he could have manipulated that. They could literally manipulated that and formed me into somebody that I don't even know what I would have been. But Aaron instead constantly reminded me that I was beautifully, constantly reminded me that I was worth it, constantly reminded me of how awesome I was, to the point where I honestly started to believe it myself. And so once he, again, in combination with the Lord, of course, I was able to kind of start to see myself and try to get to know who I was. But guys, wait for this. It wasn't until just I think it was 3 years ago, not maybe a year before the pandemic, that I finally accepted who I was. Literally. So right before the pandemic, that I finally accepted who I was as a person. So 3 years ago, I finally know, you know what? And God took all of that pain, all of that darkness, all of that hate for myself, and turned it into an opportunity to share and now to spread joy. Because I'm telling you, when you get the joy of the Lord on the inside, it helps to clean up all that stuff. No, it's not magic, but it makes a huge difference. So when I decided that, hey, all those years I was trying to be accepted by people, all those years I was trying to be accepted and fit in, I was already accepted years ago, all the way back to Calvary. Okay, is when I was accepted. Is when Jesus died on that cross, is when I finally was accepted. But I didn't see that. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. And I couldn't embrace that. All I wanted was for people, whoever, to accept me and to love me. But I'm sorry, sometimes it brings me to tears to know that, wow, God himself loved me enough. It doesn't matter who accepts me here. It doesn't matter if nobody wants me here. It doesn't matter how bad things can get. And to the point where people can say things that fester in your mind over those years, that could corrode your brain and corrode your mind to think that you are nothing or that you aren't worthy. It takes someone more than just a husband. So if that's what people marry into, or a wife or whatever, marry their husband and their wife and hoping to finally feel accepted and feel loved and fill that void and fill that hole that's there. I am a testament to tell you, nothing can fill that void and that hole like Jesus. Because I'm telling you, I literally wanted to die. I stood up in church, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. I stood up in church and I said that no, I wouldn't commit suicide because I don't believe that that's of God. That's just my belief. I don't believe that's of God. So I said, no, I won't commit suicide, but Lord, if you could just take me out, just let me die. Please, God, just let me die. I begged and begged for God to kill me, but he wouldn't. And so, and then I was like, well, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? What do you want me to do then? If you're not going to kill me, if you don't want me to, if you want me to still be here, you got to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, because I don't get why I'm here. I don't know why you want me here. And I will never forget, I was in Kuwait, and what came to me was, I want you to take your joy and share it through comedy. And that's where Christian comedy comes in, or my comedy ministry, or whatever you want to call it, clean comedy, comes in. And so when I was younger, I was constantly being told that I was too silly, that basically I was pointless, and all these things constantly were told. I was being told. And so when God called me into comedy, he told me, he said, you were too silly for a reason. You were too silly for a purpose. So he took those negative things that were being said to me and made them into something positive, which is where Leslie Robb Comedy LLC comes in. And so he told me to take all the negativity that ever happened, all the negative thoughts, all the negative words, all the negativity, And he said to place them under your feet and allow them to prop you up into your place of purpose. And so that's what I did. And to this day, I keep myself reminded of that I need to just take all the negativity. It doesn't matter where it comes from, how it comes, when it comes. Because, it's not magic. It doesn't miraculously, you don't miraculously forget all the stuff that you've been through, right? You don't miraculously forget it all. But whenever it comes to my mind, I remember God is with me. He's called me to this. He has a reason and purpose for me to be here. My depression and my anxiety and all those other things, of course, all play into that. But I honestly got to a point now where I can handle it better. No, I didn't get over it. No, I didn't get better, but I got through it. And he taught me how to get through it. And that's honestly how I now want to live. I now want to live. And honestly, because I now know my purpose of living. So a lot of times when people want to commit suicide or they don't want to be on this earth anymore, or they want to die or they don't want to be here, it's because they don't know that there's more that God has for them to do. They don't know that God hasn't taken you out because he doesn't want you to go anywhere yet. He has a reason and a purpose for you to be here. And so guys, once you find your reason, once you find your purpose for being on this earth, is when you honestly get to the point where you can be better. You feel like there's a reason and you push and you fight to stay here because you have a reason and purpose to be here, because you know what God wants you to do. And now that I know that comedy is what God has called me to do, because honestly, guys, comedy breaks the ice. It breaks the ice for people who don't want to hear this and don't want to hear that. But if you can get them to laugh, it's medicine. It soothes them. It heals them. And so then they can hear from God and they can hear the things that they need to hear and things that they need to do. So, and just bringing joy to them and keeping people encouraged. That's why God has given me the theme comedy and encouragement for Leslie Robb Comedy, because the two go together. Yes, I want to bring people joy. I want to bring them laughter, and I want to keep them encouraged. That's honestly what this comes down to. So when people ask me why you're here, or why do you feel that you are called to this or whatever, because honestly, I asked God to take me out, and he wouldn't do it. So that's the reason I know that I'm supposed to keep pushing, because I asked him to take me out, but he wouldn't do it. So clearly I'm supposed to be here for a reason and a purpose. So yeah, so now I've gotten to the point where I want to live. I want to bring joy. I want to bring encouragement to people. And so when people ask me, how in the world, girl, do you have all that joy? Where did that joy come from? It came from a really, really dark place, a really, really low place in my life where I wanted to die. And I asked God to take me out. And he said no. And then I asked him why. And then he showed me. So that's how I got to where I am. Now I'm going to look here at the comments real quick. Oh, thanks, Natalie. I'm so sweet. Yeah, she's so awesome, Crystal. Yeah. Thankful for Aaron speaking truth to you. Oh, thanks, Meg. You guys are so encouraging. And I was like freaking out telling my story because I was like, I hate being vulnerable. Oh, Miss Robertson. Oh my gosh. She was one of my high school teachers. I love you, Miss Robinson. Miss Robertson. I know it's Robertson. I don't know why I say Robinson. Crystal says, Aaron is awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better brother and wonderful sister in love. Oh, thanks, Crystal. Yeah, your brother is freaking calm. Meg said, because he knew how many people you would touch. Oh, Meg, I love you. Oh, how I wish I could forget. Oh, I'm with you, Becky. Oh, I'm with you. If we could just forget all the bad things and not have any type of memory of it, of course we could thrive better. But it's almost like our memory serves as a reminder of how strong we are. Because if we forgot about the memories of how horrible things were for us and how bad we went through, bad the things are that we went through, just imagine how we would forget that we were strong. So we can't forget. I don't think he will allow us to forget the bad things that happened to us and all the bad things we went through. I don't think he will allow us to forget it, because then we'll forget how strong we are. That's just something I wanted to share that with Sister Becky. And hey, girl, hey, Ness. Oh, thanks, Ness. And Sister, I guess so. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying it, Sister Becky. Definitely, you should share your story when you're ready, of course. No pressure, but you should totally share your story. So just let me know when you want to be a guest and share your story. So yeah, guys, I hope that helps somebody who may be struggling and not seeing their true worth or knowing or embracing what it is that they're called to do. Because I'm telling you, once you embrace your calling, you'll know why you're here. You'll know your purpose and you'll know why he has you here. Until you embrace your purpose, until you embrace what he's called you to do. And I'm not saying what you're passionate about doing. That's different. Because like when you're passionate about something, that's something you may be good at, but just because we're good at it doesn't mean we're called to do it. Okay. There's lots of things we can have a talent at, but there's certain things that we are gifted at that he's called us to use and to operate in. And that's what we need to do, is focus on the calling, not just the gift or the talent, but what's gifted as far as the calling. Okay. Because I can draw, but I ain't gonna be nobody's artist because that ain't what he called me to do. Right? So we can all do different things, but there's specific thing, something specific that he has called us to do, and that's what we need to do. Ness says, I want to share my story soon. Okay, Ness, yes, just let me know, and you are more than welcome to come on and share your story. And this goes for everybody. If you have a story you want to share, or even if you know somebody who has a story you think that somebody can learn from and glean from and grow from, please, please, please send me their name, send me their information, and I will contact them in regards to being on the show, because I truly believe that this is the platform that I've been trying to find, is a place for people to share their stories and for people to learn, grow, and glean from each other. So yeah, so guys, like I said, I have come from a really low and really dark place, and look at what blossomed as a result of it is joy. Joy, peace, and love for all of you. So that's why I do this. That's why I will continue to do this until God calls me home. Now, it's funny because what a lot of people don't realize is my story. So this is going to be interesting. What's going to happen as a result of this? They'll be like, wait, what now? Now I only shared part of my story, but that's the main stuff. So that's the main parts that I wanted to focus on, is when all I wanted to do was die, God said no. And there's a reason and a purpose for that. So I encourage you guys to seek God for your calling, seek him for your God, your born God-given purpose, and follow that, because that's then and only then will you be able to blossom and to feel like you have a reason to be here. We all have a reason and purpose, guys, or he would have took us out already. That's what I'm telling you. I begged God to take me out. Lord, feel like a gun wide. Lord, take me out, bro. Take me out. And he said no. So when he said no, I was like, okay, fine. You ain't got to take me out, Lord, but you got to show me what in the world I'm supposed to be doing, because otherwise I just want you to kill me. Just let me die. And he said no, and he gave me a reason. He gave me the purpose, and that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here. So again, I hope you guys were encouraged by this. I have a couple more comments. Yes, Sister Becky. Mercy said no. Okay, don't get me crying, Sister Becky. Don't get me tearing up again. And Ness said that's a book title. Write it, print it. I know. I need to. But see, the thing is I can't write a book because I hate reading books. I guess I would have to actually read what I write and then edit it again. Yeah, I can't do it. I wrote a little book a few years ago, but yeah, now I took it out of print. But yeah, I can't. So that's why Leslie said, what is here? So I can talk it out and get it out. But again, I thank you all so much for always supporting Leslie Said What. I cannot thank you enough for joining me tonight. Guys, tune in next week, because get this. Okay, this is mind-blowing. Next week, I have Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison. She is the first Black stand-up comedian, Black female stand-up comedian, and the first Black impressionist ever in the history of America. She was close with Robin Williams. She's been on stages with Jerry Seinfeld. She's amazing. So she will be here next week, Lord's will, to tell her story. Because I know at the end of last week's show, I said that I was going to have a different guest. It wouldn't be me this week. But who knows? You never know. When people get called into work and things like that, things get shifted. But next week she should be here and it should be a great show. She's going to share her story. So definitely tune in next week. Yes, June. Yes. And I got that idea from you. So thank you. Yeah, so hopefully she'll do her Whoopi Goldberg impression for us and all the other things. So it should be a great show next week. So tune in, guys, next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Leslie Said What. Now, you know what I'm going to say, right? Another episode of Leslie Said What is now out.